So you're looking to start game development in the big 2-5. Well, 2025 just started, and there's no better time to start in 2025 than literally now. Well, I believe 2025 is going to be a good year for game development, especially indie developers. I think specifically indie developers. There's been a lot of shift in the industry over the past few years of slowly more and more anger being built up towards AAA studios and how they're handling things. And specifically in 2024, we saw a lot of shift towards people liking indie games more and more and finding out that they're more creative and have a lot of cooler things than some of these AAA studios are able to do. I'm not saying AAA games are going to die. I'm just saying indie games are going to grow a lot. If we go back and look at this video at the end of the year, I believe I'll be proven correct, hopefully. But sorry there, was changing my camera a little bit. So 2025 is going to be a good year for indie developers, and now's a really good time to get started. So I wanted to go through and walk you guys through how to actually start becoming a game developer, and this is not going to be engine specific. So if you want to use Unity, Unreal, Godot, anything like that, you can go ahead and use it. Now, I am going to do a little engine talk. I'm going to help you guys kind of figure out what engine it is that you're looking to go with. Although I do want to preference this, and a lot of developers that are experienced, they will all agree your engine really is not going to matter unless you have very specific use cases. If your engine is limiting you on what you can do, then really you're probably not an indie developer. Now, I know some of you guys are going to probably comment being like, oh, but Unity can't do this or Unreal can't do this. There are limitations in each engine, but it's not going to be a lot. So I'm going to go over the very base limitations and when you should choose one engine over the other, and just some other general things on how to get started in game development. First, you need to figure out what you want from game development. Are you looking to make this a full-time job? Are you looking to do this hobby with potential of extra income? Or do you purely only care about doing it for fun? What is it that you want from game development? For example, mine is a mix of money and fun. I would like to have a lot of fun doing it, and I do have a lot of fun doing it, and then a little bit of income from it would be cool. Figure out what you want, and that's going to really justify how you approach game development, because there's quite a few different ways. So if you're looking for pure hobby, then you really don't need to care about too much things. But if you're looking for full business, you need to care about some things that you otherwise wouldn't have. So that's where I'm going to go over these three different options. So let's go over hobby, mix, or business. First of all, business. You'll probably hear this in almost any field. If you're doing it just for the money, to quit. That is very true in a lot of fields, where if you're doing something specifically only for money, then you probably shouldn't be doing it at all. And the reason is because the people that are hobbyists that really enjoy it and get really good at it are going to tend to outshine the people that hate it and do it just for money. Well, game development, I'm still going to give you some different tools and tips and stuff if you're looking for pure business. Although I would like to say, still do it. See if you find it as a hobby. But if you are looking for it straight pure money, it's probably not the best route for money, especially if you're an indie developer. Well, let's start off with business. So if you're looking for it for pure money, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to learn marketing and market research. So you're going to want to actually learn what games people like and how to actually market the game you make that people would like. So you're going to want to learn different SEOs. You're going to want to learn SEO. You're going to want to learn marketing on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, different platforms. You're going to want to learn how to do maybe some paid marketing on Facebook. Depends on your game. Some games you would probably want to do some paid marketing on there. Some you probably don't. And then you're also going to want to learn how to actually do market research, how to look into what games are selling and what games people want and what game is statistically going to give you the best shot at making the most money if you can execute it properly. So those are some of the main focuses if your business is really just marketing and making sure people like the game. But here's the issue where the business part kind of ends. If you only care about business, you're not going to enjoy the process and spend the time to actually make the game that people like. Game development is a long process. Even for very simple games, it can be pretty tedious and long. And if you just decide to make a game, let's say take a rogue for example, are you going to actually spend that time polishing it, making different effects, making all these different cool things that you would see in a rogue, like a game Risk of Rain, for example? That are you going to actually do that? Are you going to actually add that? Are you going to spend the extra 2 hours it might be just to make that particle effect? So that's where I'm going to end business. Business is not going to be the main focus of this video, but I'm going to end the business side of it just because business really isn't that beneficial for game development. If you're looking pure business, I believe you're missing out. If you're looking for pure business, I believe game development isn't the best route. Because if you're looking for business, then you might be a statistics person, and then you would probably want to look at the statistics that game development, specifically indie development, does not make a lot of money as a whole. Well, on average. So there are games like Stardew Valley where the developers made the millions of dollars. Games like Balatro where the developers likely made millions of dollars. But you're not going to make that if you don't actually enjoy it. Stardew Valley was a passion project for this guy for 4 years. And he kind of started not liking it at the end. But he really liked a game from his childhood and he wanted to remaster for other people to enjoy and for him to enjoy. And he worked on it for years and years and years. And so it made millions. Well, let's take a look at another game. This game was worked on for 10 years, right? This game was developed for 10 years and it made probably a couple $1,000s. So really got to figure out where you want to be. So let's get into the hobbyist and business, which is what I'm personally am. I'm about a 50-50 split. I'd say the games I choose to make are 50% hobby, where it's I enjoy it. There are tedious tasks of it, but it's not the dream game. If I was 100% hobbyist, I would be working towards my dream game and towards what I vision as like a really cool game and not care about what players like. But the fact that I'm 50-50 means there's some stuff I got to part ways with, some stuff that I got to change to be able to work with or to be able to do. Because let's face it, a lot of people make their dream games and it's their dream game, but no one else's. And that's true for a lot of people. Think about your dream game and then think about what stuff you'd actually want in it and how long it would take to make it, or how many people might be opposed to it whenever you actually put it into play. There's a lot of things in game development. You might think of an idea. You might be like, oh, I like this idea. But then you actually make it, and then it turns to be a terrible idea. Let me say something about business. Going back to the business side, I'm not saying you can't do 100% business. If the reason you start it is business and money, it's probably not going to work out. But if you get into it as a 100% hobby, learn it for 10 years, and then it's not that fun anymore, then you decide to take a business approach to it, that's fine. And there's developers that do that and make good money. But you can't get into it. You can't just get into game development with a focus on making money and believe it will work out. So for a mix of hobby and business, I'd say learn for that is really a little bit of marketing, a little bit of market research, and then quite a bit of game design. Game design is going to help a lot. So actually knowing how the players should feel and knowing how to invoke different emotions and stuff like that. It can actually be pretty fun. Game design is one of my favorite aspects of game development. I really like just trying to think of how this would make someone feel or how this would make someone feel. And then game feel is something also important. Those are both things. Like a hobbyist, if you're looking to make a game that you want to make, but you're also looking to sell it, I would recommend doing that, because now if you learn game design, you're going to learn where your hobbiness should stop and where your business part should start. For example, you might be like, oh, I think this is a good idea in the game. And then you think about it from a game design perspective, and then you realize it's a really bad idea. So you have to realize, which one do you want? Are you more hobbyist or are you more business here? Do you think this feature that you think is fun should stay? Or do you think because it would do better on the market, you should remove it? And I'm not saying game development is 100% guaranteed if you do everything right, you're going to have a hit. What I'm saying is it's more of like a gamble, but everything you do right puts the odds in your favor. So every little thing that you add that people like, or every big thing, or everything that people like, increases your odds of winning. So let's pretend you have a game, and let's pretend you have a game. Let's say it's a very, very basic survival game, right? So let's say all you can do is walk around on an island. There's no trees. It's just grass patch around water. And you can walk around on that and you get creativity to build whatever. Let's say a building system like Minecraft, right? So you just have blocks. So let's just basically say creative Minecraft on an island. That's it. Well, Now let's start adding to that. So if you sold that game like that, honestly, it's probably not going to do that good unless there's some niche out there that I have no idea that would exist, but that likely won't do that good. So let's add to it. So now let's add the trees. Well, trees, that just increased your chances of it selling, because if someone saw a game with no trees and someone saw a game with trees, they probably think the trees, that they're like, why aren't there trees in a game on an island? What? Well, it's a survival game on the island. Why do you have creative mode? So let's take away creative mode and actually add resource gathering and crafting and then building. Well, that just increased your chances quite a bit from it selling. Well, now let's add animals, a threat on the island. Well, that just increased your chances even more of it selling. Well, now let's say you add flying animals. Well, that probably just decreased your chances. And the reason is because you're overdoing it. So it's still possible to overdo it. And when I say flying animals, I don't mean stuff like birds. You would put wings on a dog and let it fly. You need to make the game cohesive. And every good game design thing you add to it increases the chances of you hitting big. So like I said, think of it, it's not gambling, but think of it as a gamble. Everything good you do increases chances. Everything bad you do decreases chances. And it's pretty straightforward when you think about it. Everything good increases chances. Everything bad decreases chances. And I myself even tried to do this. I tested it. I made a game in 3 weeks called Escaping Diddler, and the game didn't sell that good. And it's because I really didn't do any game design for it. I believe there were some outside factors that affected it. For example, my marketing. When I marketed that game, every single platform I marketed it on, my videos were getting restricted. Even though the game wasn't that bad, there was literally actually nothing really bad in the game that would happen. The worst would be is punching. So literally there's actually nothing bad, but because of the stigma or the news and stuff around Escaping Diddler, around the Diddler case that I'm not saying for a reason, but my game or my videos were getting restricted. And so I was getting very little views on those videos. So then I even put it to a test, and I made another small short series on game development afterwards, and the views were getting quadruple more. So I believe that was an outside factor is that I didn't think about, is that marketing a game that was that absurd on the surface wasn't that good of an idea, because then I couldn't market it because nowhere would accept the video or the content. But gameplay wise, I really didn't care about the game. And I'll be frank, it was more of a cash grab, and I wanted to put it to a test. I kind of wanted to see how well a cash grab game would do without putting pure full-on focus on game design and all these other things, and just making it a funny Twitch streamer bait game. And it doesn't do that good. And the reason is because I had more things bad than more things good. The more good you do is the better. The more bad you do is the worse. And so you want to do a lot more good than a lot more bad. And I know I'm getting off on a little tangent now, and this is supposed to be teaching you guys how to become a game developer in 2024. But really, there's plenty of videos out there that will show you what tools you need to use and everything like that. And I'm going to get to that. I'm going to show you some different tools and stuff like that I'd recommend learning. But there's a lot of videos that really just show you how to get started, but really don't show you any philosophy or any ideas or any thinking behind it, like why it is what it is and why you should do this over this, right? And that's kind of where I want to come into play and help. So really, if you're a business / hobbyist person, so if you're about 50-50, I would recommend learning a little bit of marketing, a little bit of market research, game design, and game feel. All of those are going to allow you to take a game that you like the idea and you think's fun making and turn it into an idea that's marketable and selling, and it has the ability to sell. So if you took a game that you really like the idea of and you applied game design and game feel, you're going to realize there's some areas on your idea that probably wasn't so good that you should change, and then you market it, and then you do market research. You're going to be able to put those four together and make probably a pretty solid game. But now let's say if you're full hobbyist. If you're 100% hobbyist, then really don't listen to me. Seriously, do whatever is the most fun. Whatever you enjoy the most. If you enjoy game design, learn game design. If you enjoy game feel, learn game feel. If you learn programming, if you enjoy physics, learn physics. If you enjoy animation, learn animation. There's so many different things for hobbyists to learn in game development. But I will say, don't expect, if you are 100% hobbyist, and truly, I'm saying if you're truly 100% hobbyist, meaning if you are truly okay with putting work in and not receiving a single penny in return, then seriously do whatever you enjoy the most. It is possible to be 100% hobbyist and make a game that people buy. It's possible to be 100% business and make a game that people enjoy. And it's all possible. It just, if you're looking to play it the safest or if you're looking to play it the best, I would recommend following a little bit of a mix. But if you're truly 100% business, or if you're truly 100% hobbyist, don't expect to make a single penny from a single hour of work you put in. You could put in hundreds and hundreds, even thousands of hours, and don't expect a single penny back. Now, what if you're 95% hobbyist and 5% business? Well, then you need to start learning some different things like game design a little bit and game feel and maybe marketing, stuff like that. The more you learn, the more you're going to want to, the more you learn, the more you're going to want to work towards learning these needed things in game development. But here's the thing about hobbyist is you can spend 4 years making a game that you feel is the best game ever and then give up. Let me lay out a scenario for you. Say you start game development and you believe you're 100% hobbyist and you say you're going to spend 5 years working on your favorite dream idea. Let's say this game is a open world survival MMORPG game that has the size of the world or something, right? So your hobbyist, you set towards that. Well, after 4 or 5 years in development and you still don't have the game, you might start rethinking it. You might start not enjoying it as much. You might start thinking, dang, I actually should start earning money for the work I'm putting in. I'm putting in a lot of work, so maybe I should start becoming a little bit more income focused from it. Well, what happens is you're going to learn a lot of different things that's going to basically counteract almost everything you've done in your game. Every time you've made an issue, every time something wasn't fun, everything, you're going to realize that it's not reasonable once you start learning business. So when I say if you're a hobbyist, you truly got to be a hobbyist to your core. This is going to probably apply to people that already have their dream job or a job they really enjoy and they're making their livable income off of it and they just have extra time. And instead of playing games or instead of painting or writing or reading, they make games. So seriously, if you think this is something you want to potentially or slightly turn into a job someday, even if it's 4 or 5 years down the line, I would recommend learning game design, marketing, and stuff like that. You don't have to learn marketing or anything like that at first, but slowly work your way towards game design and game feel and storytelling and all these different things. So unless you're 100% certain, unless you're 100% certain that you want to do this as a hobby for the rest of the time you do it, then do whatever you want and don't listen to me. But if you're not 100% certain, then I would say lean more towards what I said that you should do if you're a mix. And that's learn different things like game feel, marketing, market research, game design, stuff like that. Your own storytelling, stuff like that. Now, let's get into what things you should learn. Are you wanting to work on this as a team with multiple people? Are you looking to be completely solo? What is it that you want? Well, if you're wanting to work on it as a team, there are plenty of people online that you can find to work on a game together. The issue is it's really hard to find someone that's not willing to do it for money because you need to find somebody that is also passionate about your idea. If you don't find someone else that likes your idea as much as you do, it's very likely that they're going to be charging you to work on it, or they're not going to be willing to work on it or put their all into it. So as an indie developer, I believe becoming a generalist is really important. Unless you have more friends or multiple friends that have different feels towards it and want different things from it, and you could create a miniature team for it, I believe becoming a generalist is important. But if you plan on having a teammate, just learn something really good. So if you want to learn programming, stuff like that, and become specialist in one area. But once again, if you become a specialist in an area, you should probably start looking at it more of, you should probably start going to get a job from a studio instead of making your own, because it's going to be really hard to find people that are passionate about your idea. So, sorry, I got a call. I forgot where I was at. But if you are looking to do this with a team, Remember that if you are looking to make an idea, let's say you're 50% hobby, 50% business. Let's say you're 100% hobby and you're looking to do this as a team. It's going to be really hard to find someone that's passionate about your project that's not going to charge you. And I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying it's going to be hard. So if you're a generalist, the things you're going to want to learn is 2D or 3D art. You don't need to be an expert. With good game design, you can make, there's so many games that play around their art style. Seriously, like games like Shapes.io or whatever. That game did really good. The first one and the second one did really good, and it's just shapes. If you are good enough game designer, you can probably make any art style work in different games, just because that's just that's the aspect of it. That's something you can do if you're at that level. Now, I would recommend, though, if you're a generalist, learn 2D or 3D art. You don't need to become really good at it. You just need to learn. I would recommend learning the basics of whatever program it is. So if you want to learn Photoshop, or if you want to learn GIMP, or if you want to learn Blender, these are all different tools you can use for 2D or 3D art. So if you're wanting to do 3D, I'd recommend Blender. You're going to hear this recommendation from anyone, Blender. You don't need to pay for Cinema 4D or Maya or anything like that. Blender is so good for what it is, and it offers so much community support out there. So there's so many videos you can find on how to do different things in Blender that you would not be able to find on Maya, because Maya has community support as well. But Maya, you're probably going to have to find very few videos or go on to niche forums or something like that if there's a very, very specific issue you're having. So I'd recommend Blender for 3D art. For 2D art, go with GIMP or Photoshop, or there is another one. It depends on what you want too. If you want pixel art, Sprite, that's a really good one. There's plenty of 2D programs out there you can find. Just start playing with them and then you'll be able to see. For game engine, what type of games are you going to want to make? The main limitation I would say on Unreal Engine would be 2D games. I've seen it. It's very rare, but it's possible to make 2D games in Unreal Engine. But it's really not made for 2D games. It really isn't. But if you're looking to make a high fidelity, nice graphics, easy to prototype game, Unreal Engine's good. And then if you also don't want to learn programming, you can use Unreal Engine's support for Blueprint. By default, they support something called Blueprint, which is a visual programming language. So it'll make it really easy to learn if you don't know programming. Unreal Engine's a good engine. Now, then there's the other main engine most people talk about, Unity. Unity is going to be a good engine for 2D. A lot of people love Unity for 2D. Unity is a good engine overall. That's the engine I prefer. There is so much stigma around Unity being bad because so many bad games have been made with it, but it's just because the barrier to entry is really low with Unity. With Unity, you can make really good games. There's games like Tarkov, Rust, City Skylines. A lot of really good games have been made with Unity. And I can say the same for Unreal. A lot of good games have been made with Unreal. Both engines are going to be good. If you're looking for 3D development, if you want more stylized, you can do stylized in both. But if you want more stylized, simple, straightforward, go with Unity. If you want more of a high fidelity graphic, go with Unreal. Or if you care more about programming, if you want to actually learn programming, go with Unity. Or if you don't want to learn it, go with Unreal. You can use real programming in Unreal. You can actually use normal coding in Unreal. You can also do visual scripting in Unity as well now. Its support has not been around as long as Unreal's, so it's not going to be as good, but it still works. What I would say is, honestly, probably download both Unity and Unreal. Play around in them both for about 2-3 hours. Whatever feels more intuitive, stick with. It's not that big of a thought. It's not that big of a need. Everyone makes it out to be. Like, you don't need to think about it this hard. Everyone says it's way overblown. People believe your engine makes or breaks your game. It really doesn't. It's overblown. Seriously, play around with both 4 or 5 hours each. Do one day this game engine, one day this one, and then maybe if you want to throw Godot or something else in there, whatever one feels the most intuitive, do it. Now, I will say, you might run into limitations in engines like Godot or newer or smaller engines. They just haven't been around as much. They don't have as much support. but you should not run into really any limitations with Unreal or Unity. Unreal will have some 2D limitations. Unity will have some graphic fidelity limitations, but they both can make really good looking games or very nice stylized games. Seriously, try them both. Whatever one you like more, stick with. So seriously, once again, don't worry too much about your engine. That's not going to be the defining factor if you're a successful game developer or not. And if you believe so, maybe you need to work on some other areas of your game development. No, but seriously, engine's not that important. It is, but it's not going to be it's not a binary factor, yes or no, true or false. It's going to make you successful or not. You choose the wrong engine, bam, you're instantly a flop. No. So choose whatever engine you feel is more intuitive or you enjoy more right off the bat and kind of stick to it. You can even do this trial and cycle. You have plenty of time. The year just started. You have a whole year. This is going to be a long process if you want to start. But if you have a year, try using each engine for a week, 2 weeks, a month, and then going from there. I believe after a few weeks, you should have a good feel on if you like the engine or not. You should know where most tools and stuff like that are within the engine. You won't know all the different hidden and unique little features, but you'll know based on a surface level. So next thing I would recommend is, so really, if you're looking to become a game developer, there's not a lot to it. There is, but there's not. And I know that's not very reassuring, but really, you just got to learn some things. Once you know those things, it's really simple. It's not simple to make a game that's successful. I can't say that and just be like, every game I make is going to make me millions of dollars. It's more of the act of learning further and further. There's so much to learn in game development, but once you get the core basics down, it's easier to learn what you want. Once you know programming, once you know how to navigate your engine, once you know a little bit of art, it's so much easier to make what you want in the engine. The first thing I'd recommend, make 1 or 2 full games with game jams. So you can go to this site, itch.io. You can even just Google game jam itch.io and it'll bring you to a link and you can see all these game jams. After maybe getting 4 or 5 months of experience, enter some of these. It's possible you do it alone. It's possible you work with a team. A lot of them have team options. And what you can do is you can make a game within a time frame, 2, 3, 4 weeks, based on a specific theme. So this really gets your all aspects working. This gets your game design. You get a random theme. Let's say it's 2 bodies, 1 controller, or something like that. Say you'll get random vague themes like that, and then you have to make it. Well, that gets your game design brain thinking, where you got to be like, ooh, what cool different features and ways could this interact with? And then it'll get your programming brain working, like, oh, how can I actually make this? It'll get your art. What art style should I do for this? And the thing about doing a game jam is you actually learn the whole process of making a game. I didn't realize this until I made my first game several years into my experience, is there's a lot to it when it comes down to making settings and adding the final touches to a game. My very first full release game, Hamster Hunter, it did pretty good, but I didn't have the settings nearly to the way I'd want. So the settings, you can't change any input. So if you want to move around using a different keyboard layout, you really can't. If you want to change your interaction key from F to E, you can't. If you want to change your sound effects volume, you can't. You only have your master volume. And the reason being is because there's a lot of different things you got to plant seeds for throughout the process of making a game to make it easy in that final process. And my new game, Hamster Hunter 2, I'm actually doing this. I actually have the process to make settings really easy already. But if you don't do it from the beginning, then it's going to bite you in the ass whenever you got to go back and do it. But what I'm saying is make a game. Don't worry about that. Make a game. Then you'll realize once you make the game and you get to the settings and you realize you didn't make it compatible to modify settings, you're going to be like, damn, well, I got to jank this until it works, get it working, release it on a game jam. And then next time around, you're going to know what to do. You do that 3-4 times, you're going to have all these mistakes that you are commonly making. You're going to have solutions to them before they even arise. So seriously, let's recap. If you're looking to become a game developer in 2025, figure out what it is you want. Are you wanting money? Are you wanting fun? Are you wanting money and fun? Once you figure that out, then you can learn which route to take. If you want money and fun, Learn different aspects than if you want only money or if you want fun. Learn if you want to do this as a solo project or not. And if you want to do this as a solo thing or if you want to do it with a team, figure that out, and that's going to be really beneficial as well. Well, then learn different aspects of game development. Programming, art, all these different things. Look up different tutorials on how to do it. Just grasp the at least minimum of all the different aspects you can have, and that's going to help you a lot. And then figure out what you want to make, what engine it is, and then go join game jams. Join several different game jams, make a game, and you're a game developer. Most of you watching this video, if you actually stick to it, most of you have probably can enter 1 to 3 game jams by the end of the year, making somewhat fun and enjoyable, nice games. I believe most of you guys could do that. Seriously, it's not that hard. The issue is you don't got to think you're special. You just got to stay consistent. So don't think, oh, I'm special, it'll come to me, it'll just happen. No, you got to be consistent. That's the key, really. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know I went off on a little different rants and stuff like that, but seriously, if you're looking to become a game developer in 2025, I hope this video helps you, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.